Okay, folks, welcome back. See if we can get something done tonight. Working on a car that we're going to call Krome Karl. Going to be named after the driver. Something like that. Let's get the super readers over here. And find out where my notes are for this thing. I think I had Krome Karl. Okay, it's 15-point car. It's gonna be a regular car. It's gonna have oil slick. That's not gonna change anything necessarily that they have. Um, Let me change this up because I had an idea there, but I don't think I'm gonna go with it. Okay, that's a 15-point car. Oil slick does not use any of the slots. It is a chrome car, so we're going to put it. It's in the name, so we're going to use the skill of Chrome Whisperer on here. Okay, Chrome Whisperer is 2 points, so that's up to 19 points. That leaves 8 points for the magic number, and we have 2 build slots. And what the hell is 4 points? Flamethrowers, yeah, we're not doing that. Flamethrowers actually takes up 2 slots, though. They're 4 points, but they're 2 slots. Mortar, that'd be interesting. Doesn't scream mortar to me. Even though I got some cool mortars, but I got a vehicle coming up that's going to have a mortar. I actually don't have a mortar in any of my cars. Yet. It only has an ammo of 3. It's indirect, which means if there's any lines of sight or blocking walls, doesn't affect it. It can still shoot over them. What is Man, I had this on the tip of my tongue. What it was. It's going to have a car. It's going to have an oil slick. Because there's like black. I don't want to really give it flames. The black flames is the oil that it's going to leave on it. We can also do smoke also. That also doesn't leave any. See, a smoke is large. And oil, I think, is large also. Yeah. Yeah, so you just be like. Just leaving all kinds of stuff in its wake. Literally. I was originally going to put 2 heavy machine guns on it. That would take up both slots. But the 2 heavy machine guns, 3 points each, that's 6. I could still do that. It's just starting to be real similar to the Silver Outlaw. The Silver Outlaw has 2 heavy machine guns on it as well. Heavy machine guns and smoke, but it has a shotgun. And it's got some grenades, and he has a Road Warrior perk. I was originally going to put these things and put them in a way so that we don't block the doors. I'd like for it to be, somewhat realistic if possible. So, it'd be back here. And the funny thing is the car kind of tapers. Okay, the car, I don't know if you can really see that, but it's fatter in the back than it is in the front. So you could come up with a reason for putting this like this. And at some point off in the distance, the things intersect. That's not important, but it gives you a reason. Putting them on the roof, you look just like the damn Chrome Outlaw, or the Silver Outlaw, whatever the hell the other one's called. So, I could put one forward, one back. I don't know. I mean, I could put it up here. I kind of like the idea that in these little sponsons. I like the idea that they're in these sponsons here, glued to the side. and far enough back that the door could still open. Because, I mean, you know, yeah, you'd like to see it here, but then you're going to be getting out like the Dukes of Hazzard. Now, I got news for you. I don't care how skinny you are, you're not getting out the side doors of a 49 Mercury, unless you're like made of paper. It isn't going to happen. So, I'd like for there to be some kind of, you know, maybe not realism, but method to the madness. I'm just arbitrarily, you know, put something like, okay, well, you're going to drive this thing. How do you get in? Oh, the guy sleeps in there, you know? The question is, how's he going to get out? You know, so I'd like for it to be some kind of method to the madness. If I do a heavy machine gun that uses 2 heavy machine guns, that's going to use up 6 slots. That's going to use up 6 points. And then we're at 6. We still have 2 left over. You know, we give them some grenades or something like that. What's the smoke do? 1. How many points are left? 2? I was thinking of giving this guy a, what do you call that thing? A magnum. I was thinking of giving him a magnum. A magnum is 3 points. Magnum is 3. We definitely want this. Well, obviously it's a car. 21. Want Krome Whisperer, because hell, it's Krome, right? Not every vehicle's Krome is this, but this is like all Krome. Krome to the max, and the name of the guy is Krome Karl. It's named after him. I don't know if he's driving around, you know, looking like Destro or something like that. And if you don't know who Destro is, well, then we're done. 21, 23, 23 points. That leaves 4 if I get rid of the oil slick. I could do the smoke. I could do smoke and then forego the oil slick. I could do 1 magnum and smoke and still be at 27 points. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a smoke. That's going to cost 1 point. And then we're going to give them a magnum times 3. Is 1 times 3. So it's 21, 22, 23, 24, 27 points. That's what Krome Karl's going to have. He's some guy that has a magnum. Just to make it different. You know, and his sidekick, whoever he is, little short guy. Hey, the sidekick's got to be smaller than you. Nobody has like a sidekick that's bigger. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I know some people do, but that just, not in my world. You know, otherwise you'd be the sidekick. Was that cartoon with a little bulldog? Is it Ralph? Come on, Ralph! Come on, Ralph! Come on! He wanted it. The little bulldog wants to pick a fight, and the big guy, you know, just lumbers around. Like, no, not in my world. The sidekick is the sideshow. Okay, so we need these 2 things to paint up. So we're going to get some happy tack, or whatever this thing's called. White tack, blue tack, everywhere a tack. And we're going to prime this black for starters. That's going to take a little bit of drying time. Nothing crazy, but... this stuff is super handy. Super handy to have this stuff laying around. I'm almost better off gluing it and then paint. Nah, we're gonna. Then I don't have to worry about getting in nooks and crannies. Yeah. Trying to make every car different. I know we got a lot of cars with Rams, and Rams seem to be pretty damn useful. They seem to be pretty damn useful. Alright. Primer it is. We'll see if we have some audience participation today, or just creepy lurkers. Could be bots for all I know. What do they call that on that show I don't watch? Battlestar Galactica. What are those guys called? People that aren't people. I don't know. Shouldn't talk about shows I don't watch. Okay, let's use this one. I like having these little printouts. I don't have to worry about wearing out my rule book. Since I'm particular about that stuff. We had some coffee. Hopefully we'll get some stuff done. Better than last night where I got in late and then I went to sleep like at 9. And this weekend we'll try to do something fun like build a ramp. Build some scenery. Also known as wreckage. This is the reason I didn't want to glue it. Getting in here at this angle, going to be real screwy to do that when it's attached to the car. It can be done, but it's just going to take a lot longer. It's just going to take too long. Now, I did find out what this little thing was on the back. I didn't have a question on it, but on Hellwench. Hellwench has the same thing. And I didn't realize what it was until I noticed the name of this thing. This is actually called a 49 Drag Merc. You know, and that's not to say that the driver's wearing fishnet stockings and probably shouldn't. It's a dragster. So when I saw that, and this has the same little thing back here, I knew that what that is basically a bundled up parachute. You know, so that when it goes to the end of the drag strip, it deploys and it slows the car down. Hellwench has the same thing on there. I didn't know what to paint them. Obviously, there is a dragster. There is a dragster car type in Gaslands. I have a feeling it's insane. They don't cost very much. But my understanding is they basically have an unlimited nitrous. It's the equivalent of an unlimited nitrous, and they have to hit it every turn. That's not going to work on a course. That's just not going to work. You're going to end up being a lawn dart at the first turn. Might be fun. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have dragsters. I'm just saying that this doesn't look like something that is a one-trick pony, like a lawn dart. I got the Batmobile that I'm probably going to do that with. I got an actual dragster. Where is that thing? Let me show this to you guys. Maybe that's not even that much of a dragster. Oh, maybe it is. Look at the size of those pipes. Yeah, this is definitely a dragster. You know, stuff like that definitely needs to be long, narrow, and out of control. So. The first couple cars I built didn't have any perks. And now I feel like almost every car I want to put perks on it. Not the same perk, not to make something super powerful, but just to kind of give it personality. So you have to play it completely different than something else. Well, you can play it the same as something else, but, you know. Okay, I think we're good with this. We just need to do that. Now, I've got the primer here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the HW here for the Hot Wheels on the tail. We'll cover over it anyways. Okay, and do the same thing over on this side. Okay. Is there anything on here that needs to be primed so that I can paint it? I'm going to put a good coat of the primer on the bumper. I'm not really a fan of old cars, especially from the 1950s. I think they look dreadfully ugly. Some cars from the 40s also the same way. Some cars from the 30s also the same way. All cars from the all cars from the 20s are just incredibly unattractive, in my opinion. You're entitled to my opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I'm going to go ahead and paint this black. There is an engine in there, and as much as I would like for it to look like this and make the engine visible, then you're looking at the inside, it's all whack and stuff. So we'll just put this this cover over it. Like most of these Hot Wheels and other vehicles have a lot of really good detail. It's just it's in the wrong color because they're cutting corners. You know, they're like, well, we can't spend a lot of money making this thing, so you're already getting it for like $1. Now, some of the more expensive Hot Wheels have more things painted on them. Like I've got some Hot Wheels that were like $4 a piece because they happen to have neon paint, and with that neon paint, they actually had decals of like the headlamps and stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the. Speaking of headlamps, I'm gonna go ahead and paint where these things are in black as well. All right. What else do we have on here that gets painted black? Well, we got some tail lights here. I don't think I can get in there with this brush. I need to use something smaller. Never mind, I was wrong. Okay, and I think that's it. Nothing on this that needs to be painted black that hasn't been already painted black. Except this. Hey, there's nothing except, oh wait, I missed something. It just got missed in the overspray in the airbrush. All right, and while that is drying, what we're going to do is we're going to go hit the black lining. Move it over here so I don't get confused. Dark tone is what we're looking for. This is the Knoll oil replacement. Am I out of Knoll oil? I think I'm just about out of Knoll oil. This stuff works so much better. I'm a big fan of these Army Painter washes. They behave really nicely. So make sure we don't take anything with us. Honestly, I don't know if this is paint or this is the natural metal finish of the die cast. Could be either one, but I left it as is. I figured it's done pretty well. We'll leave it alone. Now, I haven't decided if this guy's going to be a free agent or he's going to be part of a team. If he ends up being part of a team, it's going to be a team that's way down the road to make. So he's going to be a free agent for now. This is not a boombox carnage vehicle. Yeah, coffee makes a difference whether or not I can keep going. I don't remember where I got this vehicle. I want to say I'm getting to the point where I got so many now that I know that I got it used, and I want to say that I got it. I don't know where the hell I got it. I don't know where the hell I got it. I don't know if I got it at the flea market or I ended up getting it at Vintage Toy King. That's probably where I got it. It is a cool car. This is a car that I liked anyways as a car. 49 Mercury. What year is this anyways? I'm going to say 2001. 2023. Oh, I was off by a lot. A relatively modern car. Well, modern for Hot Wheels. The Hot Wheels is modern. How we doing over here? Whew! I've been up for a while, so. Makes sense I'll be yawning. Actually, no, I got a shitload of sleep last night. Well, for me. Literally, I got home, 8, fiddle fucked around on something, went to bed. Let's go ahead and glue these wheels shut. The method I'm doing seems to be working pretty well. So. Yeah, we can leave that attached like that. Okay. Super glue is really a lot more expensive than it used to be. Of course, it's a lot better too than having in that stupid toothpaste, old school toothpaste type container. And another Hot Wheels logo down here. That one will probably get covered up with the details. We'll put that in. Now, this is going to drop in like this. This is going to drop in like this. There we go. That's what we like to hear. Okay, so we're gonna hot glue gun this thing closed. So let's go grab my hot glue gun and seal this joker. Now, what's been working pretty well with the windows is just leaving that as is, and then when I give them a flat coat, it ends up making them look really opaque. And I've been pretty happy with that. I'm not saying I'm going to do that with every car, but I don't want every car to have the mesh on it, stuff like this on the windows, So there's bulletproof glass, There's bulletproof glass. We're almost done with this. We've got to switch the T afterwards, but. And I don't know how many cars this makes it, or how many vehicles it makes it. I've lost count. I have lost count how many I have. But I'll tell you what, I got about 10% of them done. That's how many spares I've got. I got about 10% of the vehicles done. But I got 8 of them for one team. I use the term team loosely. If you want to do a team game, there's 8 cars that kind of go together, and they're all tied together by their rims, size of their rims, or the size of their wheels. All right, let's splooge this inside. Be the BAR team, the bar team, big ass rims. We'll let this on the side till it simmers down. That's what do we call those guys? Boombox Carnage. Boombox Carnage. That's one team. which is basically urban thugs. Then we got the country thugs. So we only have one of their vehicles. Mexican lowriders, I got 2 of them that just need to be retrofitted. I mean, they're done. They just were done a while ago with like no weapons, so like the car's there. And I got probably 7 or 8 other cars for them. And then a lot of free agents. Well, the Italians, British, the Germans, the Nerd Burglar team. I got a couple of Nerd Burglar vehicles. And the wheels don't move. Perfect. You don't want the wheels to move because once you move into position, you don't want it rolling away from you. Okay. That's a cool car. All right, so this is rinsed. Let's move this out of the way. Let's get the super glue back up. But we're going to get the super glue that's green. Because the super glue that's green, I did not know this stuff existed until a couple of years ago. Watching the assembly video, one of the guys that I got 3D printed stuff from. And it's repositionable gel. Now it costs almost twice as much as the regular super glue, but it does allow you some handling time. How much handling time? I don't know. But at least 30 seconds, which is a lot in super glue terms. Because normal super glue, you put it on there like, oh man, it's moving, you're done. Like, so you're in the wrong place. You let go of it the wrong time. You're up a creek. Now, as much as I'd like to put the guns here, I don't think I'm going to do that. And actually, I'm going to go. I think I have other copies of this gun, just not those, so I can play around with their positioning on the side of this vehicle. Let's see if yes, I am. That is an accurate statement. Okay. Here's another one. And we got a ton of parts coming. A ton. They should be here in about a couple weeks. So we'll do an unboxing of that. Hopefully they don't suck. They're not from Switchyard Studios. And that's not because Switchyard Studios stuff is garbage. On the contrary, I've been very happy with their stuff. Even though when I got their Rams, I'm like, I don't know if I like these guys because they're FDM printed or whatever. You can see the lines through them. Ended up being great. A durable material, quality details on them. Only the Rams were like that. All the other stuff, this is like resin or something. All right, so let's just make sure we don't want it here. I can't really put it here. As cool as that would be, part of it sticks out. So I really don't want that. If I put one here, it works. But I don't want to put one on the other side where the driver is, like, you can't see him. I don't want to put them on the roof. Then it's just like Silver Outlaw. Boring, you know? So we're going to put them out here. I'd like to put it right here at this notch. But then you can't open the door. So it's going to have to be back here. And then you still can't open the door. So it's got to be inset so that the door can still open in front of the gun. So it's going to be back here, forward firing, both of them. So if somebody's behind him, well, one guy's got a Magnum, so he can shoot a Magnum. Magnum is double distance. It's the same distance as this. It's just a 1d6. You know, most of the game, half the game is combat, half the game is driving. I'd say even 60% of the game is driving. Maybe even closer to 70. At least in Death Race. In Death Race, driving is a big part of it. You drive like a jackass, it ain't going to work out too well. So Krome Whisperer, what does Krome Whisperer do? Krome Whisperer allows the car to push it as many times as you want. So push it basically means you can re-roll. Skid dice, but every time you re-roll skid dice, you take a hazard. You can only do that once normally. Guy that can push it can do it as many times as he wants. So, all right. So this is going to go like so. Obviously, it's not going to be this one. Put that away. And the other one's going to go equivalently on the other side. So let's remove this and remove this. And the location needs to be, I'm going to have it resting on this little part and just inside that door frame. Oh, Christ. Wasn't expecting that to happen. Jesus, what have I done? Fat figures got the best of me. You won't even be able to tell that. But it's like, what the hell did that come from? Okay, so just like that. And then likewise on the other side. Just instead of that door. Just inside there, just inside there. They're equivalent on both sides. Yep. Okay. I probably should at some point make a little card, an index card, with all of my metallic colors side by side. So I could color match the metallic color instead of just be like, well, you know what, the reality is it hasn't caused me that much trouble. So there's like no reason to create like a homework assignment for myself. But like I got the Viejo ones, which I don't even think about using. Oily steel. Oily steel, it's got a little bit of brown to it. Oily steel might actually be the color to use for it. Because these little gun pods are going to be, you know, steel colored. And so will this intake. I was going to say exhaust. Nope, intake. That's oily steel. I know all the Games Workshop, none of them have any kind of a brown tint to them. I got these. I got a bunch of these because I was going to do the metal finish on. This is gunmetal, but not the blue gunmetal. That's got way too much blue in it. That's not going to work. Well, it doesn't have that much blue in it, but it has enough blue that you're like, no, we're not doing that. This is a different gunmetal by Army Painter. I think that's got too much blue in it as well. What else do we have over here? I think the oily steel is the one we're going to try. And you can always add like a little bit of brown to it. Natural steel. Oh, okay, well, no. Let's try this. Let's try this oily steel, and what we're going to do is we're going to get a... I think that'll work. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a brown wash. Just like this finish has. I think that'll work. Let's give it a shot. So worst thing that can happen, I repaint it. Yeah, I'll use this big ass brush. I don't care. Big ass brush. Now it's going to look bluish. If oily steel looks bluish, they're all the other steels are going to look more bluish than the oily steel. I think this color will work just fine. That's my initial impression. Let's get a little bit more pliable. Probably need to come in here and just really do just like a cleaning house of this. Clean all my brushes out. Okay, back here on the gun pods. So it looks a little, I felt that. Oh, I touched the top of it. Oh, God bless it. All right. You happy now? Okay. Well, it was all set to make a bunch of cops. And then after using one in the game, one's enough. I mean, it could be a whole team of cops, you know, but... That's what I like about this game. It's like, I feel like doing this, so freaking do it. And, you know, in a couple hours, you'll be done with it. You can move on to something else. It's not like it's a 6-month commitment with DBA or something like that. Like, oh man, I'm doing these, you know, Huns, and I can't do anything else until the Huns are done. Or the time that I spent working on the Huns was pissed away. None of that here. It's a quick turnaround. It's a quick turnaround. You can go do something different. All right, well, I'm gonna have to let that set for a little bit. Krome Karl. Yeah, so you can fire 6d6 toward the front, none towards the back. Well, you got a Magnum, so you're at long range. You fire 1d6. Of course, the Magnum, even though it only fires 1d6, every hit that it gets, it's not canceled, gets a shock. I was about to say, gets a hazard on them. So, and we've had that happen before. One lone shot take a vehicle and like make it spin out. You know, once it's the 6th hazard, you have 5 hazards. You put another hazard on, and you're gonna spin out. You know, you're gonna come to a stop. And that's actually what happened in a game with Rasta Blasta. Rasta Blasta was laid back, went through the first gate, mowed a couple people down, had a bunch of hazards on it, had 5 hazards, and somebody went dink, put a 6th hazard and made them stop. And they stopped just inside the first gate, or just past the first gate, which basically means they're in everybody's way, and they're perpendicular to the line of travel. So everybody came in there and shot at them or rammed them, whatever, and they just blew them to Kingdom Come. And Jamaican patties everywhere, you know. But I better not look next time, you know. Sometimes who shall be last will be first, type of thing. All right, I'm gonna go grab and refill this with something, and I'll be right back. All right. Let's see if it's too early to do this, or I can get away with doing this now. We're going to take Strong Tone, which is a brown wash that the entire vehicle has on it, and we're going to give it a light coating over the areas that we just painted metallic to match, try to match the color, or match it more. It honestly doesn't look that bad, but the whole point in having this brown wash isn't necessarily to make it dirty, which helps, but to make the color not consistent. So in other words, not be exactly the same color all around. Do I have any here that haven't been washed? I don't. But you know, that's like a showroom car. You know, it looks hokey. Like, here you go. Like, this is hokey. Regardless of the color, it's all one shade. It's all exactly the same color. If you take this same car, give it a brown wash, it'll look 10 times better. So, as some people like to call modulation, it's the difference between, you know, seeing a car down the street and seeing one in a freaking showroom. And the showroom car just looks Just odd. So, let's see if we can get away with tilting this and not falling off here. Yeah, see, we're already... I could probably give it a little bit more than that. That is much closer. That's much closer. And do the same thing on this exhaust up here. And I love that all this stuff is just water wash up. You know, I don't care about enamel paints. I just don't want to clean my brushes with mineral spirits. I want to clean them with water. Basically, unlimited. You know, unlimited. Eliminated. No, unlimited. Okay, so that already looks 10 times better. You know, it looks like it's part of the body. It's a little different, but you know, it's aftermarket. When you weather it, you won't be able to tell any difference at all. Cool Karl. Cool car, Karl. Karl. Well, that's gonna be a challenge. I'm gonna have to have a car that's named something Arnold, so you can struggle with that. Arnold. Okay. Headlamp time, one of my favorite things to do once you master it, or not necessarily master it, because somebody might look at how I do headlights and go, well, that looks stupid. Well, that's how I want to do it, you know? I wanted to do them in light blue. They don't look as good. They look better in light gray. I don't know who the hell I got the idea from, but... we got one of these turds here. Looks like a black, what are those things called? Escargot. Black escargot. Escargot. I'm not going to eat boogers. And if so, I'm not going to eat French boogers. They're probably like really big. All right, let's make sure some of this rubbed off. Okay. And you mix this with white, and some people go like, well, why aren't you doing this in gray? I'm like, because this is how I'm used to doing it. As the Frenchman says, mind your own business. I'm not trying to convert anybody to my way of thinking. I'm not like some guys like sold on enamels wondering, why aren't you using enamels? Because it's the freaking 21st century, man. What the hell are you using enamels for? I like free brush cleaner. I don't plan on I'm not ever airbrushing with enamels, ever. I bet there's somebody out there. There might only be one person that's out there that's like, oh, I only use Pactra paint. Sadist. I'd find another hobby. If they only had Patra paint, that's the only paint they ever developed, I'd find another hobby. I'm not painting with that shit. Patra paint. There were other brands that were really bad too. Patra, the original testers. I want to say there was a third one. I'm gonna look that up while I'm waiting for this to dry a little bit. What's the third little bottle paint? Is there a name for that thing? Testers, bottle paints. And you know, that's one of the things that when Rust-Oleum went and bought testers, they discontinued a bunch of their lines. They didn't discontinue those shit little paints. Yeah, these little sons of bitches. You know, that's garbage. And I don't know that. I don't know if I had to use that, and I used a lot of thinner. I don't know if I could thin it enough where it might be all right. But the reality is, it, you know, the closing mechanism, the closing mechanism on the closing method, I should say, of the top of the paint bottles of a hard glass bottle with a crimped, we'll call it aluminum, metal top, just doesn't work. It just, air gets in, it dries out. It is just, you know, that's yesterday's technology. Yesteryear's technology. Quarter ounce, yeah, that's just trash. Now, you know what's worse than that? The tester's brushes they come with. You know, the starter brushes that are like have nylon things and they're just like all whatever shape. That's worse. Like I could probably, I'm not gonna challenge myself to do this. I have enough challenges, especially nowadays, to take this kind of paint and then thin it, and then use, you know, I don't use expensive brushes, but I don't use ones that hate me, you know. So I use brushes that come to a point. Let's put it that way, right? The tester's brushes don't come to a point, or at least the ones I'm talking about. You know, they're all like this. So obviously they're smaller, but that's a recipe for disaster. I'm not dealing with the problems that I solved since I was, 10 years old. All right, so let's go back to the headlamps. See, this is the difference between coffee. If I wouldn't have had coffee, with the lack of, how long have I been on here? An hour, okay? Nobody has posted anything. And if you don't want to post anything, that's cool, you know? I know you guys are along for the ride. I wish I knew who was on there, so, I could, feel better about it. Not that I want to call you out. But had I not had coffee, I would have been like, yeah, fuck this. Like I did the other day. I was like Tuesday or whatever. Like nobody came on for 45 minutes. I'm like, I'm out of here. Like I couldn't stay interested. But since I had my, liquid crack, and it's relatively early when you start. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. So at this point, I'm sitting here thinking, I can probably get this car done tonight. And that's going to be like my goal. I'd like to get this car done. We're just going to do a semicircle with a lighter gray on the bottom. And then we're going to go to almost white. Not quite white. Not quite white. That'd be a good color for a paint. Not quite white and nearly black. That's the two near miss colors. Well, like you almost had it there, but you just missed it by a little bit. Ever so slightly red. It's called pink. It's called pink, man. Tony's paint colors. Well, if I did have a paint line, which I'm never going to have, I would want to name them. My wife, when I first met her, and she wasn't my wife, obviously, she was a big fan of these nail products, nail paint, by this one particular brand that had really creative names. And I don't mean it in a stupid way, like they put some thought into it. And it was really cool, because I could appreciate that kind of stuff. And they had really good names for the paint brands. You know. What is it? Do they still make it? Ipsy? No, not. Yeah, Ipsy nail polish. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Polish colors. That's some great freaking names for the paint. Watch them not even do that anymore. Don't ask me what my skin tone is. I just want to see your damn colors. Okay, this obviously is not getting Ipsy nail polish color names. OPI. OPI is what it is. OPI, not Ipsy. OPI. Yeah, OPI has some great freaking names. Like better than freaking Warhammer and their fruity ass make believe land. Agrax Earthshade, wherever the hell Agrax is. Grape Escape, Beauty School, Pop Out. Hands in the Clouds, Make 'em Jelly, Prideful Peach, Daffodil Duck Walk. That's freaking great. No, that's some. I mean, somebody had some fun with that, so I could appreciate that. Not like, what color is that? Red. What's the other one? The other red. All right. Because sometimes the headlamps are like the eyes of the car. Sometimes it gives a car a certain look if the headlamps are a certain way. And these headlamps in this style makes the car almost look like Lurch. Lurch from the Addams Family. Or was he the Munsters? I forget which one it is. And whichever one Lurch was on. He was in black and white, so Lurch is that's what it looks like. This guy's tailgating me again. You're doing it right if you cough afterwards. All right. A little bit on the bottom. A little bit on the bottom. And the secret thing is a little dot in the top. And there's the headlamps. If you guys want to see them, a close-up, you gotta write it down! Okay. The front of this bumper is going to be bright-ass freaking chrome. So are these well, they're not really tailpipes. The pipes that are coming up the side. That's going to be bright-ass chrome. So let's go ahead and knock that out. Now, I'm probably going to use some kind of mid-tone for, like, we'll call it the teeth. The teeth that are on this car. You could do a lot of stuff. You could paint, like, a face on it or whatever. Go get real crazy, but. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to Citadel. This is the super, super dark one called Iron Warriors. It's the darkest one. I'm going to use lead belcher and paint everything with lead belcher. That'll kind of be the underlayer of the chrome anyways. Francois Marion! Oh, you added things onto the back of your thing. Eujiku. I don't know where you're going with that. It's not early. No, I don't do early morning. Well, I do early mornings on the weekends, but I don't do early mornings Monday through Friday anymore. It's too big an ask. Stop being such a big ask. Yeah. How you been, my friend? The most French-sounding non-Frenchman, Francois. I got nothing against the French. I know some people that can't stand anything French. And I'm like, listen, what Frenchman pissed on your, pissed on your cereal? There's decent people everywhere. I'm buffering and lagging hard. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know how to fix that. I just do the same thing that I always did. I could be Canadian about it and go, sorry about that, but I can't fix it. Same way when it's running great, not my fault. I just turned it on. I'm just a dumbass that paints. Yeah. The consistency of this paint, like the original Games Workshop, it's creamy. And it's hard to understand what it is, but it's almost pastel-like. Buffering and lagging hard. Well, as long as I'm hard. I said that one time. I said, man, you're being a dick. If you're going to be a dick, be a big dick. Because nobody likes a little dick. Oh, where does this begin and where does this end? Like teeth. It's almost like baleen. It's got like a whale face. Wasn't me, it was YouTube because I refused to give them your ID. Oh, so they changed your thing? Oh, well. You're welcome here. Hey, you have enough of your old name that I know who you are. Well, I don't know who you are, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You're Michigan? You're Michigan or Texas. Can't remember which one. Yeah, I gave up on trying to do the early mornings Monday through Friday. It's just too much. It's too rushed. By the time I get going, the only people that are on there are going to be, people that can't sleep or the Brits. And the Brits on a work day, they got to work too. The Britishers. So change your name because you didn't want to play nice, huh? Only issue I've had like that is I had an Xbox account a long time ago. Well, I still do. But a long time ago. I want to say 2001. 2001. I had an Xbox account. I had a handle. An Xbox with the whatever, you had to renew it on a credit card, right? So it was time for renewal, and we had canceled that credit card. Not that there was anything wrong with it. It just, like, that one went over, and we got a different one, and it kept trying to charge it, and it didn't, so they put me in the bad boy box. So it like, okay, we've disabled your account. And when I realized that it wasn't being renewed, because I think at the time I wasn't really using Xbox Live very much, when I realized that and I wanted to renew it again, I couldn't use that same handle. So they killed my first handle, and I couldn't do anything about it. And I could get the same handle, but then, I'd have to put, like, numbers behind it. And I just don't believe in putting numbers behind your name, because you can't put a number on a thing. Like, I can put Francois on you, but, if you're like, 34, I'm like, 34 doesn't mean anything to me, Oklahoma, okay. Literally everything you say is repeated, which is really strange. It doesn't normally happen when a stream is buffering, not a microphone echo. YouTube is playing the audio twice. Those sons of bitches. Sons of bitches, sons of bitches, sons of bitches, sons of bitches. That was played like 8 times. Yeah, they always gotta fuck with things. You know, they always gotta fuck with things. You know, they added this top fans thing, which I don't care about. Yeah, who likes those red coat fops anyways? I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have... Can we go back to having those taxes? Can we go back to having those taxes they had there? You know, they're saying they're going to try to do away with property taxes here in Florida. And then immediately goes like, naysayers, where are they going to get the money? I don't know. Let's do away with them and then figure it out. I'm voting for that shit. What's the worst thing that could happen? You know? Let's try something different. I'll see it when I believe it, but I didn't think they were going to pass open carry, and Florida got open carry. Not that I'm going to open carry, but, you know, I'm surprised that happened. Haven't seen anybody yet. I'm not going to freak out, you know. Had these guys one time from at work from Mississippi that came by, and it was like a dually. We'll call it a dually, right? And these guys all came in. They had a dually and they had like a tag-along trailer, and they were coming to pick up some concrete box they had bought. And then they were on their way from Mississippi to the job site, wherever it was in Central Florida or something like that. And they were going to come by and pick up the box and do the job that they needed to do. And this particular dually was laden with people. There was at least 6 people that were in that truck. And every single one of them was carrying, in a holster, we'll call it an M&P 9. You're familiar with what that is. And that's what it looked like. It might have been an MP 45, whatever. It was definitely a Smith & Wesson striker fired, we'll call it 9mm. And I walk up to him and I'm like, you know, this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe it might have been 10 years ago. I said, you know, Florida's not an open carry state, you know? And they're like, oh, well, we got our concealed permit from Mississippi. I don't care if you have it from Mars. I said, you know, I'm just telling you, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying that, you know, you don't want to give cops an excuse to, you know, fuck with you, you know? So, but I still haven't seen anybody open carry. So, anyhow, welcome, Mr. Justinian. How are you? You know what an M&P 9 is. When I went to college, which wasn't that long ago, well, it was, but I don't feel like it was that long ago. There was people that had trucks that had guns in the gun rack in the back of the truck, and like nothing fucking happened. I mean, it was like a shotgun, like ooh, exciting, you know. Wasn't a big deal. So, I guess we were just better fathers back then. There definitely were better fathers back then. All right. Yeah, that's the front of this. Well, 2 of you guys are speaking. You guys want to see the front of this guy? He's cool, man. This is Krome Karl. Krome Karl. Let's see. Let's see if I can get a good representative picture of the front of this. I love doing headlamps. Once I figured out how to do them, you open carry in Michigan. Okay. Yeah, well, we got it like end of September. I haven't seen anybody yet. But I live in a urbanish area. I wouldn't freak out. I mean, I'm like, just don't be fucking with it, right? Like, you know, be safe. It's just a tool, you know? Don't be an idiot. Okay, let's see if this is a good picture for you guys. Yeah, look at them lights. Okay. Well, they passed a thing here in Florida. Not that this is going to turn into gun chat. Not that I have a problem talking about guns, but they passed a thing last year where you could conceal and didn't have to have a license. But some of us are licensed anyways. It avoids issues. So anyhow, yeah, what to do about this little rack thing in the back here? We're going to paint this metallic. We're going to go back to this color. We like this intermediate color. There's no rear. I guess that's the rear bumper. I would if it was in the woods. I've always carried one on horseback. I've only been on horseback one time and didn't carry, and that was because it was in Jamaica. It's just part of the experience. I just figured, well, what if the horse gets uppity? Just saying, I'm a pacifist, There was not better fathers back. There was not better fathers back then, and there was less single mothers raising boys back then. Probably. 2 people watching them. I mean, I wasn't a perfect child, but I didn't do really stupid. I didn't do stupid shit. I didn't do stupid shit. I never got drunk and did something stupid. Never. You get drunk and you sit in the corner and you throw up all over yourself. You're like, I'm never going to do this again or whatever. But you don't get behind the wheel and, Okay, I think that looks good enough. Now we're going to go up a level and put... Oh, not this color. Let's get the original, the old school. Mithril silver, baby. Liberals, you mean leftist. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Let's see here. A little bit of agua. So yeah, I thought I was going to jump in and do my cops team, and I use cops like loosely because they're not really cops. I'm not anti-cop. I don't have a problem with cops at all, unless you live in a rinky-dink town like this one, and they're just looking for excuses to teach you a life lesson for going 5 miles an hour over. That's not really their fault as much as other stuff. So. I don't want to be anti-cop, but so the cops in my game are all, pretending to be police officers. So we got one after throwing one cop in one of these games. I'm like, and he's basically was like his own team thing. So we actually had him go the opposite direction as everybody else in the death race, and he was the only survivor. Everybody else just like rammed and blew themselves up. We had one car that went airborne, landed into a pack of four, blew other ones up. Chain reaction. One car comes through, and the cop ends up. Well, what was his? He was the madman skill. So he ends up throwing a hazard on Falco Rosso, which was the Ferrari. It flipped out and burned, and it just like ah! And it was hilarious. Like nobody survived, But we played with the right people, and like Luke was saying, like the attitude is like that's what the people want to see. Like if this was being filmed, they want to see everybody freaking dying. The way I look at it is everybody's playing Death Race. They're all bad people, all of them. As a veteran, I shall not take to be infringed as literal and hold it to be sacred as a fundamental, basic human right that's unalienable. Well, thank you for your service, but I don't know how you guys do it because it's a thankless job. I just couldn't. I came real close to being in the service, and it just didn't work out. Like really close, like shipping out, and it just didn't work out. And I'm glad it did, only because it probably wouldn't have worked out for me with all the dig a hole, all right, fill it up, now dig it where, same place, like that kind of shit just doesn't. I don't need. I'm not going to misbehave if you leave me with idle hands, But these guys that do the stuff that they do for this country, and then they get hurt and they give the country back to the same people that had it. I mean, I just it's really it would be really painful, to do all that stuff. So anyhow, we have the barrel of these things to do. It's supposed to be a heavy machine gun. It looks like it's got two barrels. I'm going to paint it like it's got two barrels. So, it's a heavy machine gun. Why has it got two barrels? Because the caliber's really small. No, I don't know. It's a fantasy world, man. Just shut up. Shut up and drive, Yeah, the politicians all suck. Everyone. Everyone. Make $200,000 a year. You've been there 4 years. That's $800,000. Oh, I'm a multi-billionaire. Okay, I call bullshit. But anyhow, just be glad you don't live in New York. I think they're making another escape from New York. It's coming soon, and we better build a wall in Florida. Oh man, poor Marcus. Although if I want some free food, I guess I could go up there. What color am I going to paint this so it stands out? I think what we're going to do is it's already black and the inside of the barrels are black. So let's take what would I normally use? I would normally use lead belcher? No, which is the really, really dark one? Iron Warriors. We wouldn't do that one. We would go up to, I believe it's lead belcher. Iron Breaker is one. Let's do lead belcher and see if we like how it looks. Yeah, you got some good points there. I'm not going to disagree with you too much. I'm not going to disagree with you at all. But just imagine if you were a good cop, right? Just imagine if you're like, a reasonable person, right? And you're like, man, I want to do the right thing. And then like, one of your buddies is on the take. Like, can you imagine that? I mean, can you imagine like something like, like I watched 3 or 4 seasons of The Shield, and I really liked The Shield. But I remember the very first episode I watched. I want to say it was a long time ago, but I want to say his what do you call the guy that rides with him? His partner. Partner means something different now. But his partner back then, he ended up killing his own partner because he found out that he was basically like, taking money on the side But that certainly made the show interesting. Let's go back and watch that. I remember liking it though. And I don't really watch cop stuff. I would have loved to watch Miami Vice way back in the day, but I wasn't allowed to watch it because it was too violent. Well, you know what? Maybe it kept me from growing up to be a violent person, so I guess it was a good thing. You know, my parents did not allow me to watch, you know, violent stuff growing up. You know, I guess until I was old enough to understand that, hey, it's bullshit on TV, right? Instead of these kids who go play some violent video game and there's somebody who's 7, well, not 6, but 7 or 8 years old on there talking trash. I'm like, where the hell is your parental supervision? Okay, I think I like how that looks. We just did a little like gleam. Okay, we got the front, we got the back. Well, this little town has a shitload of cops in it. A shitload of cops. And it's not, you know, I don't necessarily have a problem with them, like, setting up ambushes, right? Because, you know, it's for revenue. Even if the cop doesn't want to be there, he's forced to be there and like, try to ambush people, right? For going 7 miles an hour and crap like that. Not like reckless driving, right? Those people never stopped. It's the people that are like, you know, oh, you're going 45 in a 35, that kind of shit, you know. Driving with the flow. But the problem is, this little town is we have, not only that, but we have sheriffs ambushing people in there, and we also have the freaking lazy-ass highway patrol. You know, get on I-75. No, they go in there and create ambushes on this road that's like, dude, get out there and freaking do what you're supposed to do, you know? There's riots across the country right now since the account effort. Well, we're too busy. Some of us are too busy working to be causing trouble like that. Like, you know, I go home, I don't want to cause any problems. I want to get out here and paint shit, you know. Want to stay away from those people that don't have anything to do, you know. We're too tired to cause any trouble. So it looks like at some point, these wheels had some kind of copper to them. And I mean wheels, not rims. I sometimes make a mistake in saying rims. But the saying rims when you mean wheels is kind of like saying clip when you mean magazine. It's not a bad of a sin. Saying clips when you mean magazines is a pretty big sin. But it's not as big a sin as saying Calvary when you mean cavalry. That's my big no-no. And nope and no. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves a fictitious metallic color to get something to stand out. I don't want it as much as this bronze, which, by the way, this is the color I use for all like my Roman armor and stuff like that. New York is full. So is Michigan. All right, so we're going to add a little bit of this. All right, and then we're going to go and I thought this had a thinner tip than that. And do we have any metal here still sitting here? No, we had a big wad of this. So let's try using this and add a little bit of this bronze to it. And then we've got maybe a little bit more bronze than that. Okay, now, this is going to get all dirty, so it really doesn't matter that much, but as the Kool-Aid man would say, oh yeah. Kool-Aid man was cool. Didn't care for the Hawaiian punch guy. He was a dick. He used to punch people for no fucking reason. Unless I have that all wrong, right? Didn't you just go around like punching people for no reason? Like, What an asshole. Stupid Islander. Those damn World War II Germans. Yep. Like I say about the Germans, they had cool tanks and equipment and cool uniforms. Everything else about them sucked. I was reading somewhere that they could smell them. They could smell the Germans based on what they ate. I just black bread and something else. I forget what was the other thing that they ate. Like I was reading something about, I think in Italy or Normandy or something like that. Like they could smell if they were close based on the stuff that they ate. Probably something pickled. Something vinegary, I'm sure. Krome Karl, baby. Alright, I'd like to get rid of that Hot Wheels logo. It's distracting. You know, I'm not embarrassed that it's Hot Wheels, but, you know, we're trying to model a real vehicle, and it wouldn't have Hot Wheels on it. Let's go back to that oily... Where's that oily bastard? That's something you name somebody. Ah, that oily bastard. Well, thanks for getting on here, even though I'm not trying to start a revolution or anything, but I appreciate you guys' interaction. I'm wondering, like, man, am I just sitting here talking to myself? Well, I am, but the coffee's what gets me through. Without coffee, I just can't get up the energy this late in the day. Like, you know, I can do it in the mornings, but like by this time, like I've had so many work problems, and we're not allowed to talk about work. That's verboten. All right, we got some tail lamps back here to do. This is an old car that I really think looks cool. Anyways, a '49 Mercury. It's really cool, unless you're in a crash, in which case you got to be wafer thin to get out of it. You're not bailing out of those windows. I'm not getting out of that car. You know, it'd have to be the window in the back, and the window in the back is probably still squishy, still too squishy. Oh well, look at this! I put the metal on here, and the decal and the logo went through. All right, well we'll put more paint on it. Teach me a fucking lesson. Okay. I like doing rust after the weathering. Because I don't want like, oh man, the rust looks great, and you weather it, fuck, it's gone. You know, like. Well, speaking of YouTube censoring, my redneck team, right? They're all going to have rebel flags, so that's what they would have. They're trying to be racist. That's just, you have a bunch of hillbillies, they're going to have rebel flags on them. But I'm reversing the colors on them. So that way you can't have like, I'm not worried about anybody watching my channel, you know? You know, you can't make fun of them if they're not in the game. So, you know, we're here to make fun of everything. You know, there's only one thing I don't make fun of, and I'm not going to talk about that. Okay? But, you know, it does have to do with World War II. I'll leave it at that. We're not making fun of that. And everything else is fair game. You know, so, you know, I'm old school. I'm from the 80s. Well, really, I'm from the 70s, but, you know, we made fun of everything, you know? So, what's his name? Don Rickles? Yeah, kids can't handle like Don Rickles. That's the kind of stuff I grew up on. Man, you make fun of everybody. You're all friends at the end of the day, but you make fun of everything, you know? All right, just a little bit there. They built this wing around the tail lights. It's weird. I don't know. What do you need tail lights for in a race? I don't know. I don't like making these vehicles so covered with either rust, crap, or you can't tell what the original vehicle is. I'm enough of a car guy that I appreciate knowing what vehicle it is. Some people will come in and, it's their right. They can do whatever they want. They make their car like all rusty, like it's. And look, if it's not rusty, you're not going to compete in a race. Like, how are you going to be able to move that far? You should be just moving shorts, you know? Short distance things. I mean, it's got to be a viable gun platform. Now, with that said, there's one vehicle I got recently that is super cool. And where is it? Oh, it's in the box. It's actually a vehicle that came. I got it for 25 cents. I would have paid more than that for it. I would have paid a whole dollar for it for sure. It's a crumpled car. So it's a car that came with one of the monster trucks. But it has, and it's in this, it was originally in like this color orange, right? The whole thing. Wheels and everything. The wheels are friggin' orange, right? That's their close to, well, it's rustified, right? So it came with the monster truck for the monster truck to drive over it, whatever. It's a kid's play set, whatever. So it came with that. And then I realized, this would be great for a wrecked car. And then I realized it comes with working wheels. And it has a steering wheel and everything. And it has kind of an interior. And I'm like, I'm gonna make it one of the cars. And it might be, the Crumpler or something like that, but Wrecked It Ralph or something like that. But the vehicle's actually really cool. Now I don't know what vehicle it's based on. It seems like it would be like a Buick Regal or something like that from the late 80s, early 90s. But it's a really neat vehicle. I'll show it to you. And I airbrushed it black. But it's a really cool vehicle. You could see a steering wheel. There's no reason somebody couldn't be driving this. And that way you can make fun, you got crashed on by the... And, it's going to be one color, and the door will be something different. Maybe the hood will be different, and then this door will be different than this, it's just going to be a shit show. But I think it'll be really cool. Yeah, it looks like a Buick Regal or something like that. Anyways, this is going to be one of the competitors, probably for the redneck team. Rednecks. So, but that's my get around. I'm fine reversing the colors. Like I'm also fine painting the Confederate flag. It doesn't bother me any. I mean, I live in the South. Like you see that shit all the time, and it's like doesn't bother me any. I just don't want any problems from the bots. All right, I'm gonna let this dry just a little bit more. So I'm going to go use the little boy's room, refill my tea. If you want to call it that, it's Crystal Light. It's tea flavored though. And we'll get and do the weathering on Krome Karl. Be right back. Well, there's different things that set people off. I'm extremely defensive about my state. You don't like Florida? Get the fuck out. I like that Florida man shit. Oh, Florida man, Florida man. Well, they do the same thing. Illinois man, Illinois man. And we'll go around saying that. I mean, we're what, the third most populous state? You're gonna have shit show people there. That make the news. You don't like Florida? Get the fuck out. We got too many people here, anyways. The state's literally doubled in my lifetime. Number of people went from like 10 million to like, I don't know, we're over 20. Something like that. I don't badmouth Massachusetts. I just don't live there. All right. And the weather sucks here. So it must really suck to other places. People want to come here. Okay, I think this makeup brush shapey thing is what we're going to do. And chocolate brown. Chocolate brown. Yeah, we should get this little guy done today. All right. Now this weathering is exactly what I do on my tanks. So, the fact that I've done tanks has helped this process. I know what I like weathering wise. This is the same triad that is on the tanks. Well, I know some people on there that wanted to, not way back in the day, but a couple of years ago, were like, oh, I want to go on one of the platforms so I can speak my mind or something like that. It's like, the problem with those other platforms is, well, first of all, I don't really want to say anything that controversial anyways. I don't feel like I need to. Second of all, those other platforms, like, nobody's on them. Like, you can look at whatever that other one is called, right? Is it Grindr? I don't know what the hell it is. It might not be. My Grindr might be some porn site or something like that. Anyways, there's some other alternative YouTube type thing. Nobody's on it. There's no point in, doing hobby shit. Nobody's on it. Grindr might be like some gay website. I don't know. I have no idea. But what is the other one called? Is it what is Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what the other one. What's the other one called? They need to have like a YouTube just for like hobbyists. Well, it probably just wouldn't get enough. Not enough people would watch it, and they wouldn't get enough advertising. So that probably wouldn't work. Like I love watching stuff on like cars or man. There's a lot of diecast stuff on it out there. I'm not going to say anything that controversial. I'm going to say stuff that's like old school, like stuff we grew up with. Nobody had a problem with it, in the '80s. Make fun of everybody. What's he got to say? What you causing problems? That's, did I do the middle one? I feel like I hardly did anything at all. It's the last color that makes the biggest difference. The old Iraqi sand. This needs to look. You're in some kind of a dusty environment. It takes, that stuff will grab everything. That will grab every little thing. Okay, we're going to get the Iraqi sand, which is the third color of the triad. Come on, man, answer me back. Some people will like throw you a text and they're like, don't respond for like 4 hours. Like, what did you do? Did you get sequestered? Do we need to come save you? Text me if you're in trouble. All right. I thought for sure when I was going to get an airbrush, I'd be using an airbrush for this. But the reality is, I suck using airbrush. Okay? I'm not proud of my airbrushing skills. That's probably more accurate. I'm not proud of my airbrushing skills. Now, it solved my issues from basically not using rattle cans. I do not want to use rattle cans because they're expensive and they're, freaking poisonous, right? I used them my whole life, but they changed the formula and the availability of the brands I used to have, that I used to use, that I was perfectly happy with. So I got an airbrush to do that. I didn't get an airbrush to do, weathering. I could do stuff with a brush with a lot more confidence and control than I ever could airbrush. Now that's me. There's people that airbrush and do a great job, but that's just not my environment. Just like there's probably people that airbrush and they can't hand paint worth a damn. They can't do faces on figures or something like that, As a matter of fact, there's a YouTuber, I don't remember exactly which one it is, but there's a YouTuber that has a modeling channel and, and he's stellar. I mean, he's the standard when I was growing up of doing models was Francois Verlinden, okay? Francois Verlinden was the gold standard of modeling. Like basically, he would have this catalog. He had these other products that he also made, and his stuff was like top notch. It was expensive, but it was top notch. And I don't know for sure if he was the one that was modeling the things also in his catalog, but the way he did things was the gold standard. He didn't do chipping. Chipping didn't exist in 1992. Or if it did, it wasn't out in your face. I'm talking about tanks and stuff like that. And that's kind of the gold standard back in the day. I get back into modeling and I'm like, oh, people are doing chipping and all kinds of other stuff and using these dust. The most advanced technique at the time was we were going to the art supply store and we were buying pastels and we were taking a sandpaper and grinding down the pastels into like powder and then using that powder to apply it in different places. So we were doing that, but there wasn't YouTube or anything like that. And but anyways, one of these particular modelers, I don't remember which one it is. I don't know whether it was, is his name Plasmo? Plasmo, and one's like Night Shift. Guess what it is. Both of them are Eastern European. There's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, they both have accent like this. And they're superb modelers. And one of them I was watching a video and he was all concerned about never having painted a figure before and like freaking out about it. I'm like, man, sometimes you just gotta dive in, Like I've never done cars before. Never. You just start doing cars with the information that you have and you know, and it works out. You know, you've done whatever it is enough that you know when you're on the wrong track. It's all about knowing when you're on the wrong track and stopping, and and figuring out what you need to do so that it looks like something that you were kind of expecting. And that's all modeling is. You know, so like I've never done a plane before. I did a plane, I'm like, man, it looks really good. How come that's the first plane you did? Well, it's not the very first thing I've ever painted. You know, the very first DBA Army I painted in 2004, 2005. And people are like, oh man, that thing looks awesome. How did you get your first DBA Army looking so good? I'm like, because it's not the very first thing I ever painted. I've been painting decent for about 8 years. Decent good. Since about 1996. Before 96, fuck it, it's just trash. You know, by today's standards. But like I had a clue. I've just never painted all these bright ass colors. You know, greens and reds and what the hell, you know. That's not a color you would see in the Wehrmacht, you know. Okay, I think we're good with this. We need to do Tony's Tones, as someone called it, and I like it. Mid-brown, light tone, and soft tone. These things are great, man. They're accessible. Hopefully they keep making them. I probably need to buy one of each of these and like 4 strong tones and 2 dark tones or something like that when I go to the store. I don't want these things to run out. They are a safe. I could get by without them and make my own. I don't want to do that. Okay, let these pro guys do it. This stuff cuts really well with water. It is very water friendly, meaning you can add water to it and it doesn't all like dissipate. It still grabs. Really happy with these products. Much more so than their paint. Not really a fan of their paint. It acts different than what I'm used to. Now, if I had to use Army Painter to paint with, I'd be fine, right? Because it's not like it's that weird, you know. But it is different. It's not like, you know, we're gonna use Pactra bottles or something like that, you know. This is where we put this rustification in places. If any of the cars that I have should be rusted, it would be this one, because this is an old car. Whatever year this is happening in, whether it's the present day or the near future, a car from 1949 is old. And obviously does not have a 1949 engine in it. It has something that's even more fuel in has worse fuel economy than that. I don't want to go crazy with the rust, but there needs to be, some. It provides some realism. The drippings, as I like to call this. Just needs to look like an old. What are those things called? Those old campers, streamliners, something like that. Something liner. Something like that. Man, it's still early. Yeah, but this has been a hit as far as getting everybody ready to play immediately. First couple times that we played Gaslands, first 4 times we played, all right, did everybody make their cars? Nobody did. So you'd spend, 45 minutes to, trying to come up with a car. Everybody came up with the same fucking car, and the car didn't look like what the car actually had. It'd be like, this, and it'd have a mortar and a heavy machine gun and a turret, but it would have none of those things. I'm like, look, if I'm going to get into this game, I'm going to make the vehicles look like they have the weapons that they have. That's the whole incentive in building more cars. Like, man, I want a car that has a mortar. Oh, I just pretend it has a mortar in it. No, go build another car that has a physical mortar in it. Well, you look at this thing and you're like, does that thing have a turreted weapon? Does it look like it has a turreted weapon? No. There you go. It's like one thing, you don't have to worry about it. Now, other people want to play that way, that's fine. But I'm telling you, what's going to get me to build cars, and I'm telling you, I've been on a tear. I went from like having 4 cars to like 34 cars in a matter of a few weeks. I'm loving this part. So, and I can get them done pretty quick. This thing's basically done from nothing in a couple hours. And I'm not like cutting any corners either. So, as opposed to like if I was still doing DBA, I'd get like 2 figures done. Like that just doesn't work, And I'm like, next time maybe I want to do a pink one. Maybe I want to do the bimbo bomber, That's what this is going to be, You could just do something completely different, Could do a wreck. This weekend we're gonna do a ramp. I got an idea of a ramp. I had my heart set on finding a model of like a jet, like an F-15, or I really wanted it to be a Chinese jet with like one wing craft. Any of you CCP guys listening, I want one of your wrecks crash so we can drive over and crash. I saw somebody do that one time. They made a ramp out of a crashed jet. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. But I don't want to buy like a whole model, and I wanted like something that was already like damaged, right? Because I don't want to like destroy something in the name of Let's see if I can put this little bit of black here at the end of these exhaust pipes. So I didn't come across one. They're like, hell, they didn't have any Japanese stuff, World War II Japanese stuff, much less modern Chinese stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to it won't be a jet. It's just going to be a ramp, probably made out of a wreck or something. So. You know what? I think we need a little bit of that there. And this is actually the part I enjoy the most. Well, this is one of the parts I enjoy the most. Is what I call drippings. Oh, yeah. I just mix the colors so not every stain looks exactly the same color. It's varied slightly. Again, just seems more believable to me. Okay, and on that note, Chrome Karl is done. Well, other than the ceiling. And she'll be good to go. As a matter of fact, you know what it needs? It needs a little bit. There's this one spot here on the roof that for whatever reason liked to leak.